So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down the analogy using a ball of energy. If you take energy from an object or a ball, right, and you throw it into another dimension, because that energy that you threw into the other dimension came from that ball or that object, that places that ball in the dimension where you threw that other energy. It is no longer there. Physically, it might be there, but it's no longer a primary substance of a physical environment. It is now in another dimension, taking on two different entities. Black Science TV 111, Osaka 4 Productions. Let's go. Let's go. So today I'm coming to talk about energy focus. And my voice, I know you're going to hear, it's a little raspy because I've been doing a lot of talking, doing a lot of ceremonies, things of that nature. But focus and energy. All of our thoughts are fragments of us. All of our thoughts are fragments of us. What do I mean by that? Every time you create a thought, you are creating yourself and your image and after your own likeness. This is why they say you are your thoughts. You are your thoughts because your thoughts are you. And this is you creating yourself and your image and after your own likeness. So let's go forward. If you focus your energy on an environment or a person, you are actually pinpointing a location. You haven't touched it physically, but you are looking at that person through the mental. You are looking at that environment through the mind. But when you focus your energy deeply on a person or an environment, you will literally, in the form of energy, at that place, in that spot, or with that person. See, when we ask ourselves questions as far as astral projection is not spooky. When we deeply concentrate our energy or focus on a point in time that has existed or even non-existent, you are placing yourself in a jurisdiction in the form of energy in this time. This is why I tell people sometimes go out of space. How do we go out of space? When I'm not talking about up there, I'm talking about outside of time, outside of the third dimensional realm of thinking. You have to stop your thoughts sometimes. Stop creating yourself. Because remember, you are your thoughts. And when you create thoughts, you create yourself in your image and after your own likeness. So when you stop creating yourself, you come out of time. And this is like that number 0. And the number 0 is what I call the force of all numbers. Why is that? Because all numbers come from 0. 100 can't be without the 2 zeros. It is that infinite unseen force of binary codes which lives outside of time. People say it has no value. It's on a ruler. Take it off the ruler if it don't have value. See, the things that you can measure is not the things with value. The things that you can see is not the things with value. That's why when people say, well, you got to show me in order for me to believe you. But that's still not value. Feeling is like that number 0. Because your feelings can't be seen, but it can be felt. 0 can't be seen, but it can be felt. And feeling is the code of infinity. Even though 0 is nothing, it is all. Once you place a dot in the middle of 0, time then starts to exist. For those who know numerology on a level of the occult, you know what I'm talking about, or on a level of theosophy. Occult just means hidden, the hidden science of math. You are numbers. Numbers are conscious. Numbers exist in the form of energy. Numbers become physical. It becomes people. You are a number. In order for you to exist in the physical realm, you have to be a number. Because you have to be able to be measured as an individual. Outside of individualism, right, comes the infinite form of science, which is the all. And this is what you are. Now we're talking about the mind. You are the mind. And your mind exists in all dimensions. Hence the word all dimensions. Meaning that dimensions are infinite. The square root of you is me. The forces of nature, which is those elementals that we call, and the horizon, which we call the earth. Numbers give you a perception of where you are, who you are, and where you're going. I'm going to say that again. Numbers give you a perception of where you are, who you are, and where you're going. But beyond that, there's nowhere to go. There's really no you. We cannot prove that we're going anywhere. Outside of time, outside of things that can be measured, everything is existent all at one time. It's just that because you're in this dimension, your perception is individualized to one moment, to one component, to one parcel of an environment that you call Earth. What if I told you that we are not existent anywhere but everywhere? What I'm going to do is I'm going to break down the analogy using a ball of energy. If you take energy from an object or a ball, right, and you throw it into another dimension, because that energy that you threw into the other dimension came from that ball or that object, that places that ball in the dimension where you threw that other energy. It is no longer there. Physically, it might be there, but it's no longer a primary substance of a physical environment. It is now in another dimension, taking on two different entities. So this is like you. This is why when you see people with multiple personalities, remember that they were in other lifetimes before this. It's other energies that they planted in other lifetimes that didn't leave. So if you have a ball of energy, right, and you take 30% of that ball of energy, and I'm just giving you an idea of something so you can look at it as an example. So if you take 30% of that energy from the ball and throw it into another dimension, right, or let it cross over into another time zone, it is carrying the ball of energy with it, even though physically that ball is not moving, because it is a part of it. And this is what souls are, energy. So you lived in a past life. When you leave an environment physically, that is not you leaving, because that is not you. You are the energy. And thermodynamics teaches us that energy don't die. So if you could throw energy from a ball into another dimension, and because that energy in that dimension, which you've thrown from that ball is a part of that ball, causes it to be in that dimension with that other ball because it is a part of it, then what does that say? This means that there are other yous that exist that you can't remember because of the breakdown of the physical time and what you've contracted with, a new brain. And because you have contracted with a new brain, there are things in your genetic structure that are shut down. And this is where DNA come into play. Your mind is not inside of this body. This is where it is contracted to be, to make you think that you are where you think you are, when you are really not. Remember, you've been taught that you are somewhere. And the words somewhere and exist are English. The English language hasn't always been around. I've always said this. So if the English language hasn't always been around, before the word existed, did you exist? Were you somewhere before the word somewhere existed? Think about what I'm saying. Black Science T111, Osega 4, I'm out. Peace.